Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, my dears. How are you? I wish that you all fine. Today, inshallah, we will start a quick revision on grade 6 first term. So let's remember together what are the topics that we studied together in the first term. So let's start. Here we are. The first term consists of 4 units. We will start now by the first unit, which talks about the mass and weight. But what are the differences between mass and weight? Let's see it together. Here, the definition of the mass and the definition of the weight. Mass, it is the amount of matter in an object. We said before, it's related to the amount of matter. But the weight, it's related to the gravitational force of the Earth or of the planet. So we said weight, it is a force by which the body is attracted to the Earth. Okay, so what about the measuring units? Can you measure the mass by the same units of the weight? Of course, no. For mass, you can measure it in gram, that's equal to nearly 1 paper clip, and kilogram, that's equal nearly the 1 liter of distilled water, and ton, and that's very large. You can measure the huge object by it. So what about weight? You can measure weight in Newton. And Newton, it's related to the scientist who discovered the gravity. So 1 Newton equal nearly 100 gram. What about the measuring tools of mass and weight? For mass, you can measure it by balance scale or sensitive scale or 1 arm with pointer or 1 arm digital scale. So can you measure the weight by the same balances of mass? Of course, no. So let's see. You can measure the weight by spring scale. So spring scale, it's for weight. Balance scale, digital scale, sensitive scale for mass. What about the direction? Mass has no direction. There is no direction for mass. But for weight, you have a direction. Weight has a direction towards the center of the Earth. And that's related to the gravity. Anything on the Earth, anything on any planet will go towards the center because there is the gravity. That's about mass and weight. So what about changing the place? By changing the place, mass doesn't change because it's a constant value or fixed value. But weight, no, weight can change from one place to another because it's related to the gravity on the Earth, on the Moon, on the Mars, on any place. You have different gravities, so you have different weights. So that's about difference between mass and weight. What about the properties of mass? For mass, the increasing of the amount of matter, of course, will make the mass increase. Like what? Like here. If you measure 1 apple, the mass of 1 apple, it will be the same like 2 apples? Of course, no, because you increase the amount. If you increase the amount, that means the mass will increase. We said that the mass fixed value doesn't change by changing the place. If you go from one place to another, it will not change. It's a fixed value. What about the mass or the direction of the mass? Of course, the mass has no direction. That's about properties of mass. What about the factors affecting on the weight? The factors, 3. Number 1, the mass of the object. If you increase the mass of the object, the weight increases. Like we said, weight equal mass times 10. Weight equal mass times 10. So if you want to calculate the mass, what you will do? We will go to divided the weight divided 10, weight divided 10. So what about the second factor? The planet or the place where the object exists. Here we have Earth or Moon. So they equal in the weight or the object on each one of them will be the same? Of course, no. The weight, it changes from one place to another. And that's related to the gravitational force. So on the Earth will be more than on the Moon because on the Earth, the gravity of the Earth equal 6 times of the Moon. So the weight on the Earth equal what? The weight on the Moon multiply 6. Okay, great. What about number 3? Distance from the center of the Earth or distance from the center of the planet. As you go up from the center of the planet or you go far away from the center of the planet, of course, the weight will decrease. So as the body moves away from the Earth's center, the gravitational force decreases and the weight decreases. So that's the three factors affecting on the weight: mass, the planet, and the distance from the center of the Earth. Let's see now Unit 2. In Unit 2, we studied together the thermal energy. What is the thermal energy? What is the heat energy? And what is the difference between the heat and temperature? Heat, it's a form of energy. It's a type of energy, like the electric, like the chemical, like the light energy. So heat, it's a form of energy, but it transfers from where to where? It transfers from higher temperature to lower temperature, from the higher temperature object to the lower temperature object. So what is the meaning of temperature itself? Temperature, it's what? It is a degree of hotness or coldness of the body. So you mean the degree itself, it's 50 or 30 or 20 or 0. So that is the temperature of the body, the degree of hotness or coldness of the body. Okay, so now let's go to another point. What are the uses of heat energy? We can use heat energy for warming the house, cooking, heating water, drying washed clothes. That's the uses of heat energy in our daily life. But you can use it also in industry. You can use it for making the food, glass, paper, and many factories or many places use the heat energy as a factor to make different industries. So that's about uses of heat energy. What about the elements and heat conduction? All the materials conduct heat? No, that's wrong, because we said we can divide the materials into two parts, two groups. The first group, good conductor material, or that's conductors of heat. That materials that allow heat to flow through, like what? Like copper, aluminum, or iron. All of them good conductors. But bad conductors don't allow heat to flow through. So like what? Like wood, plastic, glass, paper, air, and so on. So you have good conductors and bad conductors. What about the life applications? Good conductors, you have to lift spaces between railway bars. Why? Why we need to do that? To avoid train accidents, because the iron, good conductor, so it will expand by heating. So to not waste, you can make spaces between the railway bars to avoid any train accident, like here. But bad conductors, in the cold areas, they start to put or to use insulating glass windows. Why? To prevent the leakage of heat through the window. So the air, bad conductor, so that it will prevent the leakage of heat from the window. What about the uses of good conductors and bad conductors? You can use good conductors material like aluminum or stainless steel to make the cooking pans or to make kettles. But bad conductors, you can use them for making the handles of cooking pans, the handles of iron, the handles of kettles to protect yourself from any harm. And also you can use heavy blankets, and you can use also woolen clothes to protect yourself or to keep your body warm, because we are in winter, okay? So that's about good conductors and bad conductors. Let's go to lesson 2, thermometers. That's the device that you can use to measure the temperature. I know you can use different types, but here we define the thermometer as general. It's a device, you can use it for measuring what? Temperature. And here the idea of making a thermometer. Can you remember it? The idea of making a thermometer. I can use the medical thermometer or Celsius thermometer, the types that we studied together, by changing the volume of the liquid. The volume will change by changing the temperature. So it will expand by heating and contract by cooling. Go up and down, up and down. That is the idea of thermometer. So what are the types that we studied? We studied 2 types, medical thermometer or clinical thermometer and Celsius thermometer. So let's see together what are the differences between medical and Celsius. Of course, before going to them, I want to remember with you what is the importance of measuring temperature. Why we need to measure it? We need to measure the temperature to protect yourself from any harm, because if your temperature is abnormal, you will go to the doctor directly. So help us to measure our body's temperature. and also help us to know the weather temperature around us, so you can do the activities that you make in the normal life. And also, you can use the temperature to make some industries, like we said in the last lesson. Okay, so let's go now to differentiate between the medical thermometer and Celsius thermometer. Here we have the two types, Celsius and medical. Here the medical thermometer consists of thick glass tube, capillary tube, mercury bulb, and something called constriction. If you can remember constriction, it's like someone hold you from here. I want to make what? To keep the mercury up until I'll measure the temperature. So constriction, it's very important to prevent what? To prevent mercury from returning back to mercury bulb, so you can read the measurement. But Celsius thermometer consisted of what? Consisted of thick glass tube, capillary tube, mercury bulb, but there is no constriction in this Celsius thermometer. What about the scale of each one? Scale or range. The scale of each one, medical, from 35 to 42. So it divided into 10 parts, and each part of them equal 1/10 degree. But for Celsius thermometer, it's from 0 to 100 Celsius degree, and it's divided into 100 parts. So each degree equal 1 degree. What about the constriction? We said Celsius thermometer doesn't contain any constriction, but medical thermometer contains constriction. What about the used liquid? Both of them contain mercury, and we will say now why especially mercury. Usage of which one? Celsius thermometer consists of, or sorry, the usage of it, you can use the medical thermometer for human body temperature, but Celsius thermometer for liquid temperature. So you can know the body temperature by the medical or clinical thermometer. But Celsius thermometer, you can use it for measuring the temperature of liquids or the weather around you. So let's see now why we use mercury inside the thermometer. Why mercury? Why not liquid, any other liquid like water or alcohol? Why especially mercury? We can say some important notes about mercury. Number one, it's liquid metal, and that's the only liquid metal in the normal temperature. So it's the liquid metal that can be seen easily through the capillary tube. So you can see it easily. That's why we can use mercury. Also, it's a good conductor of heat. So it can expand by heating and contract by cooling. So it's a regular expanding material. Number four, it doesn't stick to the walls of capillary tube. So you can see the mercury will go up and down without sticking on the capillary tube. So you can measure many temperatures by it. What about the last reason, number five? It remains liquid from -39. Wow, -39. So that means it will be liquid from -39 to 357. It's so wide range. That's why we prefer mercury, because it's liquid, because it's a good conductor of heat, doesn't stick to the walls, it's regular expanding material, and also it remains liquid from -39 to 357. That's about unit number 2. What about unit 3? We studied together the atmosphere. Who can remember what is the meaning of atmosphere? Atmosphere, it's a mixture or group of gases around you, surrounding the earth, and it's attracted to the earth by the effect of what? By the effect of gravity. So it's a mixture of gases, and it's surrounding the earth, so it can attract it by the effect of the gravity. What about the components of the atmosphere? You have many gases inside the atmosphere, like nitrogen gas, oxygen gas, carbon dioxide, helium, water vapor, hydrogen, and so on. But each one of them by a suitable or by specific percentage, like nitrogen gas here, 78%, oxygen gas, 21%, carbon dioxide gas with the other gases, 1%. But if I ask it about carbon dioxide gas by itself, it will be 0.03. So take care from this point. Carbon dioxide only, it's 0.03. But with other gases, it's nearly 1%. What about the importance of this atmosphere? We need it? Of course. It protected the Earth from harmful radiation come from the sun or from the outer space, like the ultraviolet. And also it can control or adjust the temperature of the Earth. So that's about the atmosphere. What about oxygen gas? Oxygen, as very, very important gas for us. So its structure, O2. What is the meaning of O2? It consists of 2 atoms of oxygen. That's the structure of oxygen. What about its percentage? We said 21%. What about its source? From where we get oxygen gas? From photosynthesis process. Here he will ask you in the exam, why the percentage of oxygen gas remains constant? Why it remains constant? We breathe it, why it doesn't consumed all the time? Because we consume it by respiration and burning, but there is another part or another organism make the oxygen gas by photosynthesis process. That's from green plants. So green plants can make photosynthesis process to produce oxygen gas for us. What about the preparation? You can prepare it in the lab? Of course I can. You can prepare oxygen gas in the lab by decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. That is a device that you can use. Hydrogen peroxide, and you can add manganese dioxide, that's called catalyst, to make the reaction go faster, to facilitate the reaction. So hydrogen peroxide will decompose into water and oxygen. But to make the reaction faster, you will use manganese dioxide. So manganese dioxide, it's what? Catalyst. Why we use this catalyst? To just facilitate the reaction and to make it go faster. So catalyst, it's a chemical substance that remained without any change in its quantity or properties of it during the chemical reaction, but it just facilitates the reaction or make the reaction go faster. What about properties of oxygen gas? Oxygen, colorless, tasteless, odorless. There is no color or taste or odor for the oxygen gas. Number 2, scarcely dissolves in water. What is the meaning of that? Rarely, or it dissolves but not so much. So it scarcely dissolves in water. Number 3, oxygen doesn't burn but helps in burning. And that's why we said oxygen is very important for burning or for combustion process. Number 4, oxygen is heavier than air. So it replaces air. As you go up from the center of the earth, the oxygen decreases, and that's why we use the cylinders while we're going up in the mountain. Number 5, oxygen can combine with the other elements to make oxides. Like it reacts with magnesium to form magnesium oxide. And that's the reaction of oxygen with the other elements. It may be a slow reaction or maybe rapid reaction or fast reaction. If it's a slow reaction, it will be oxidation or rusting. But burning, it's a fast reaction. If you burn anything, it will combine with oxygen, but that's a very fast reaction. What about the importance and uses of oxygen gas? We said before, you can use oxygen gas for respiration and food combustion. Number 2, you can use it for formation of water because water needs oxygen as its structure consists of oxygen and 2 hydrogen. 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogen. Number 3, formation of ozone gas. Ozone layer or ozone gas composed of 3 molecular atoms, or 3 atoms of oxygen gas. 3 atoms of oxygen gas. What is the importance of this ozone? Ozone layer can protect us from any radiation come from the sun. And also you can use oxygen in cylinders to use it in surgeries, mechanical ventilation, or also the diving or climbing mountains. And also you can combine oxygen with the acetylene to form oxyacetylene flame. And this oxyacetylene flame temperature reaches to 3,500. So you can use it in cutting and welding metals. That's about oxygen gas. What about carbon dioxide gas? We can use carbon dioxide gas also in our daily life. But before going into the importance, let's see some properties about carbon dioxide gas. Here we have to start by the structure, like oxygen. We said oxygen O2, but carbon dioxide gas consists of 3 atoms. 1 carbon and 2 oxygen atoms. 1 carbon and what? 2 oxygen atoms. But for its sources, of course, it's different from the oxygen. Here you can get carbon dioxide gas from respiration process. You can get oxygen, but you will make what? You will make carbon dioxide gas from your body. So carbon dioxide gas sources, number 1, respiration. Number 2, combustion or burning of organic material like wood, and also the combustion of fuel. That's the sources of carbon dioxide gas. What about the preparation of carbon dioxide gas? How you can prepare carbon dioxide gas? You can prepare carbon dioxide gas by two substances. But how can I make sure that I have carbon dioxide gas? You can detect the carbon dioxide gas, the presence of carbon dioxide gas, by lime water. Here, the clear lime water, it's called calcium hydroxide. But if you pass carbon dioxide on this clear lime water, it will turn into calcium carbonate. And this calcium carbonate insoluble in water. That's why it turns into milky or white color. So lime water, it's a substance that you can use to detect the presence of carbon dioxide gas, and that's by changing the color of the clear lime water into milky or turbid lime water. How to prepare carbon dioxide gas? We can prepare carbon dioxide gas by hydrochloric acid and calcium carbonate. Hydrochloric acid and what? Calcium carbonate. So it will produce carbon dioxide gas. And here I'll stop for minutes. You have two differences here between the device of carbon dioxide gas and of oxygen gas. What are the differences between them? Yes, number one, that here you have to add hydrogen peroxide and manganese dioxide for oxygen, for preparation of oxygen gas. But for carbon dioxide gas, you can prepare it by hydrochloric acid and calcium carbonate. That's the first difference. What about the second? In the procedure here, you have carbon dioxide gas in air, but in oxygen, we said in water. So oxygen gas prepared in water because it scarcely or rarely dissolves in water. But carbon dioxide gas easily dissolves in water. So you can't prepare it in water, but we can prepare it in what? In air, because it's heavier than air. So carbon dioxide gas prepared or collected by upward displacement of air, but oxygen gas prepared or collected by downward displacement of water. Okay, so let's turn to another part. Here are the properties of carbon dioxide gas. What are the properties of carbon dioxide gas, my dears? Carbon dioxide gas, colorless and odorless. But we can't say tasteless like oxygen gas, okay? For the second property, carbon dioxide gas doesn't burn and doesn't help in burning. So you can use it in putting off the fire or extinguishing fires. And also you can use, or a property of carbon dioxide gas easily dissolves in water. So it's not collected, like we said before, it's not collected by displacing the water. Number 4, it's heavier than air. And that's why we said it will prepared or be prepared by the upward displacement of air. And number 5, you can react or you can have a reaction between carbon dioxide gas and the other elements to form oxide. But here you will have another substance from the reaction. It's called carbon, black substance. It's called what? Carbon. So white powder, it's called magnesium oxide, and the black carbon that come on the walls of the cylinder, that's due to the carbon inside the carbon dioxide gas. What about the importance and uses of carbon dioxide gas? You can use the carbon dioxide gas in dry ice, making dry ice. You can use it for extinguishing fires, and that's putting off fires. You can use it also for fires because it doesn't burn and doesn't help in burning. You can use it for soft drinks because soft drinks soft drinks contains carbonic acid, or you can say carbon dioxide gas plus water. And number 4, you can use it for photosynthesis process. It's very important for our life. So it can make the food for the plant and produce oxygen gas to us by photosynthesis process. And number 5, bread bubbled, or you can use the yeast fungus to make fermentation process. So it will produce carbon dioxide gas and it will make the bread bubbly and tasty. So let's turn now to the last gas that we studied in this unit. The last gas, there is important note, I'm so sorry. Applications of carbon dioxide gas. We said before that soft drinks contains carbon dioxide gas, and we must not take a lot amount of soft drinks because it will make what? It will make bone death, or the people maybe die due to the high percentage of carbon dioxide gas inside the soft drinks. So try to avoid the huge amount of soft drinks because it will affect on your bones. What about the disadvantage of or increasing of the percentage of carbon dioxide gas? Of course, it will make, number one, suffocation of living organisms. You can't breathe well in the presence of carbon dioxide gas. And also increasing the temperature of the earth. So it will make a very important phenomena. It's called global warming. Now let's turn to nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas percentage, it is the most abundant gas inside the air or inside the atmosphere. It's a percentage nearly 78%. And nitrogen gas, very important also, but here we will study only the properties of nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas called by what? Called by azote. And what is the meaning of this word, azote? Azote means lifeless because it doesn't burn and also doesn't help in burning and also doesn't help in respiration process. What about properties of nitrogen gas? Nitrogen gas scarcely dissolves in water, colorless, tasteless, odorless, and it doesn't help in burning. What about the importance of nitrogen gas or extent of nitrogen gas? It appears in the atmosphere by 78%. So we can say the main source of nitrogen gas, it is the atmosphere. Number two, it's inside the soil. How? Because during the lightning, what will happen to the nitrogen? It will combine with the oxygen gas to form nitrogen oxides. And these nitrogen oxides will go where? Will go down to the soil with the rain. What about the legumes? The legumes plant start to take the nitrogen gas from the soil to make protein. And tissues inside the living organisms like us, we need the nitrogen gas to build up the body by proteins that we will form by the nitrogen gas. So that's about nitrogen gas, oxygen, carbon dioxide gases. Let's see the last unit, Unit 4. Unit 4 talks about the structure and function, but we studied two important systems. Before going to these systems, we studied before many systems inside your body, like the digestive system, which digests the food inside your body, and number two, respiratory system that can help you to breathe well. Number three, we studied also the circulatory system that will take the blood to all over the body. And number four, we studied the urinary system. So what we will study now, or what we will revise now, nervous system and locomotory system. The nervous system, it is a post for the other living or for the other systems inside your body. It is a system that's responsible for communication and controlling all the body systems. So that is the shape of the nervous system inside your body: brain, spinal cord, and nervous. But what is the importance of this system? It's just to control the systems? No, we have a lot of importance to the nervous system. Number one, let you sense hotness or coldness. Number two, it can help you to know things, sweet or bitter, rough or smooth, so you can differentiate between different matters. Number three, adjust your movement. You can move by the permission come from the nervous system. Number four, thinking and learning. Now you can learn, you can memorize, you can think by the nervous system. Number five, you can use it to adjust your emotions. I can see that you're happy, you are sad, you are angry or calm. So you can differentiate between the faces of your friends by the nervous system also. So because it adjusts the motion. Okay, so what about the structure of the nervous system? It consists of many cells. It's called nerve cell, or the smallest part inside the nervous system is called what? Nerve cell or neuron. So the basic structure unit or the building unit of the nervous system, it's called nerve cell. That is the nerve cell, the shape of the nerve cell. So let's see the structure of the nerve cell. Nerve cell consists of two parts, cell body and axon. What is the difference between them? Here we are. You can see the difference between them. The cell body, it is a part like a head. So there we have nucleus, cytoplasm, plasma membrane, and branches come or extend from this cell body. It's called dendrites. What about the axon? The axon, it's a cylindrical axis, come from the cell body, and it's covered by fatty layer. This fatty layer is called myelin sheath. And at the end of the axon, we have axon terminals. But here I'll ask you, my dears, what are the importance for axon terminals and dendrites? Both of them can be like a connection between the neurons. So it will connect with the other neurons to form synapse. And during this process, it will take the message from one neuron to another, to another, to another, until it reaches to the specific organ. So that's about the shape or the structure of the neuron or cell body. Let's see now the structure of the human nervous system. It consists of two main nervous systems. Number one, central nervous system, and number two, peripheral nervous system. Let's see the central nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, while the peripheral nervous system consists of the cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Let's take one by one. Here we will start by the brain. What is the brain? The brain, it's the main control center. Here, the main control center in your body. And it can control, coordinate, direct all the processes, all the ideas, all the behaviors, all the emotions inside your body. So it's very important. The brain located here inside the skull, you can press, you will see like a very harm thing here, a very huge thing. It's called the skull, and it can protect your brain from any harms. So that's the brain inside the skull. What about the importance of the brain? We can say the importance of the brain inside the three parts of the structure of the brain. Number one, it's called the cerebrum. Number two, cerebellum. Number three, medulla oblongata. What are the differences between them? Let's see together. Number one, cerebrum. Cerebrum, it's the first part of the brain, the largest part of the brain. And this part is very important because it's divided into two halves. So we can call it two cerebral hemispheres. What about the shape of the cerebrum? From outside, the outer surface is called what? The outer surface is called the gray matter. And we can call it also cerebral cortex. So this part in front of the brain, you can call it cerebrum. It covers by gray matter. It's called the cerebral cortex. And inside the brain, it's white matter. So from outside, it's gray, and from the inside, it's called white matter. What about the importance or the function of this cerebrum? Cerebrum controls the voluntary movement. The voluntary movement, I mean the movement that you make it by yourself, like walking, running, holding things, anything like this, it's a voluntary movement. So you make it by what? By the control from the cerebrum. Number two, it can receive the nerve impulses from what? From the sense organs like eyes, nose, mouth, ear. So these parts will receive the message from the cerebrum. What about number three? It contains the centers of thinking and memory. If I asked you to remember something, you will put your hand where? I will put my hand here. So that's why we said here the cerebrum contains the centers of thinking and memory. What about the second part of the brain? Cerebellum. What is the importance of cerebellum, and where is the cerebellum? Number one, its location of cerebellum. You can say it's behind, in the back area of the brain, and it's located under the two cerebral hemispheres. What about its function? The function of cerebellum controls the balance of your body, or maintains the balance of your body during movement. What about medulla oblongata, the last part of the brain? Medulla oblongata contain the centers to control the involuntary processes. Like what? Like the heartbeats. You can't control the heartbeat. You can't control the digestion process, or you can't control the respiratory system. So these parts, it's very important to our life, and it's already controlled by medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata, it's in front of cerebellum, and it can connect the brain with the spinal cord. What about its function? We said it can control the involuntary processes, like heartbeats, the movement of digestive system, the movement of breathing or respiratory system. That's about the brain and its structure. Let's see now the second part of central nervous system. The second part of central nervous system, it's called the spinal cord. What is the spinal cord? Spinal cord, it's the part inside the backbone, and it's a cylindrical nerve. So it's inside the spinal cord and inside the backbone, and it can be protected by the backbone that it's located inside. The spinal cord controls two very important processes. But before going to the importance, let's see the structure. What is the structure of spinal cord? It consists of two substances like the brain. But here you will see like the gray matter inside the spinal cord, and it's like letter H. It takes the letter H shape. But surrounding this letter H, you have white matter. So the spinal cord opposite to the brain or opposite to the cerebrum. Here the spinal cord from outside, it looks like white matter. From inside, it's called letter H matter, and it's called gray matter. What about the importance of a spinal cord? The spinal cord controls, number one, the reflex action. Number two, it also works like delivery. It can deliver the message from the brain to all the body parts and from the body parts to the brain. So it works like delivery and controls the reflex action. But what is the meaning of reflex action? I can't remember. What is the meaning of reflex action? Reflex action, it's like automatic response. Any response you will make automatically without any control from you that happens to protect you from any harm things around you. That's called reflex action. So let's go now to peripheral nervous system, the second part of the nervous system. Peripheral nervous system consists of nerves that emerge from the central nervous system. Like what? Like the cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves come from the brain, and it's nearly 12 pairs of nerves. So you have 12 pairs of nerves called cranial nerves that emerge from the brain. But for the second type, it's called the spinal nerves. And these spinal nerves consist of 31 pairs. 31 pairs of nerves that emerge from the spinal cord. So cranial nerves, 12 pairs, spinal nerves, 31 pairs. Cranial nerves emerge from the brain, while spinal nerves emerge from the spinal cord. So these nerves, it's very important for the body because it will work like delivery from the message. It will take the message from the brain and spinal cord to all the body parts, and then will take the response, or it will take the message or kinetic response, or we can say sensory information from the central nervous system to the body organs. Okay, my dears? So that's about peripheral nervous system. Let's go now to the reflex action that we said in the spinal cord. The reflex action, automatic or spontaneous response of the body to different stimuli. It happens automatically without anything happen from yourself. You can't control the reflex action. So reflex action, it's controlled by the spinal cord. Like what? Like here, if you withdraw your hand quickly when you touch a hot surface, or like blinking when something gets close to your eyes, you will make blinking. So that's the reflex action. Let's go to the ways of maintaining the nervous system. How to save or how to protect your nervous system from any harmful things. Number one, reduce the intake of stimulating substance like coffee or tea. Number two, you must keep away or take care from the tranquilizers or stimulants, substance, or addiction because it will harm your nervous system. Number three, not exhaust the sensory organs by sitting for periods or long periods of time in front of computers and television because it will affect on your sensory organs. Number four, you must take care or giving the body sufficient period of rest like sleeping to make your nervous system calm and take the rest. Number five, you can avoid the extreme exciting situation to not make you nervous all the time. Staying away from sources of pollution and doing physical exercise to make or activate the nervous system all the time. That's about the ways of maintaining the nervous system. Let's go to the last lesson of the first term. The last lesson of the first term is talking about the movement or the locomotory system. How to move, how to make any movement around you by locomotory system. But what is the meaning of movement? I mean to transfer from one position to another, to change your position from one place to another. That's the movement. So you can do that. You can do that by the locomotory system, and also by the nervous system, because the nervous system will give you the message to move. What about the structure or the structure of human locomotory system? It consists of a skeletal system and muscular system. Skeletal system and muscular system. Skeletal system consists of axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. But the muscular system, inshallah, will be with you in the older ages, inshallah. So let's see now the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton consists of three main parts: skull, rib cage, and backbone. What are the three parts consist of, and why we need the skull, backbone, and rib cage? Let's see together. So number one, the skull. It's a bony box, like you see here in the picture. It's like a bony box, and it has cavities for your eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and also it can protect your brain inside it, because we said before in the nervous system that the brain located inside the skull to protect it from any harm. So that is the axial skeleton, or the first part of the axial skeleton, skull. What about the second part? The second part, backbone. The axis of your body. The axis of your body, it's called the backbone. What is the backbone structure? It consists of 33 vertebrae with cartilages, and these cartilages can protect you or protect the bones from any friction between them. And for the backbone, allows the body to bend in different directions. Like now, I can bend my body in different directions, that's due to the backbone. And also it can protect the spinal cord inside it. What about the third part of axial skeleton? Number three, it's called rib cage. What is the rib cage? The rib cage consists of 12 pairs of ribs. Here you have 12 pairs of ribs in the rib cage, 10 of them connected to the sternum or breastbone, and it consists of these 12 pairs just to protect what? To protect the lungs and the heart inside it. And also it can help you in breathing. You can make inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation and what? And exhalation. You can put your hand to feel the movement of the rib cage during the respiration process. You can feel? Okay, great. Now let's go to the second part of the skeletal system, the appendicular skeleton. What is the meaning of appendicular skeleton? I mean the upper limbs and lower limbs. Upper limbs, that's my arms, and lower limbs, my legs. So let's see the structure of the lower limbs and upper limbs. Here are the upper limbs. The upper limbs consists of three main bones: humerus bone, forearm bone, and hand bones. So inside the upper limbs, you have three main parts: humerus bone, forearm bone, and hand bones. But they connected to what? They are connected to the shoulder bone. So humerus bone, forearm bone, hand bones, all of them connected to the shoulder bones. What about its function? You can use these upper limbs to eat, to drink, to write with them, and also to hold things. What about the structure of the lower limbs? Lower limbs consists of femur bone, shaft bones, and also foot bones. So femur bones, shaft bones, and foot bones. And all of them connected to the pelvic bones. What about their function? The lower limbs allow walking, running, standing, sitting, carrying the rest of your body. So it's very important. Let's go to the last part, joints. What is the meaning of joints? Joint, it's the first or the main part inside your body to allow movement. Imagine that you don't have a fraction, or don't have, a place between the two bones. Like you don't have connection between the two bones or part to separate between the two bones. That will be very hard to move. Though the human can't move if all his bones are fused together. But if you have joints, or the parts that connect between the two bones, the point here, you can see that's called joint. The place where you can see the two bones meet each other It's called joint. These joints very important to move, but we have three types. Number one, immovable joints, and they don't allow any movement in any direction, such as the joint of your skull. Slightly movable joints, I mean the movement or the joints that allow movement in only one direction, like knee joint and elbow joints. But freely movable joints allow movement in all directions, like the hip or shoulder or wrist joints. So that's about types of joint and the last part of our session for today. So now we make quick revision on the all lessons of first term. Inshallah, I'll see you in the next session with another lesson in the second term, inshallah. Goodbye, my dears.